You know, well, let's pull up the spreadsheet, see where that money went. Oh, it's not on the receipt. I don't know where it went. She thinks it went to like black budget shit, like black military technology, like anti-gravity. And she thinks that Mr. Global, whoever that is, the bankers, the central bankers, are literally using all of that money and funneling it into black projects to create a breakaway civilization in case there's like some sort of catastrophe on Earth or something happens.
Oh, God.
And like,
where are they doing this?
they're doing this at fucking Lockheed Martin. I have no idea.
Underground or something?
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing she says. She says there's a lot of money that's going into building all these underground bases, continuity of government, tunnel systems, all of this stuff. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, she legit worked under the Bush administration. She was like a financial genius.
Right, but she could be a kook.
She could be.
Yeah, that's the problem. When people are super intelligent but also crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and also had a prominent position in government, but also crazy.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot of really intelligent people that are super crazy.
And has she been to these places? Like, how does she know that they're real? Does she know, has she talked to someone that explained this breakaway civilization thing? Or is this just a theory?
She's friends with the dude who wrote the book that's titled Swastikas, Psyops, and Saucers.
What? Yeah. What's that book about?
How the Nazis are controlling UFOs and psyops and controlling the world and, you know, playing the world like it's their fucking docudrama and recreating reality and inventing all this crazy off-world stuff, and how Roswell was Soviet Union crashing stuff here, and basically it's all Nazi black budget stuff, I think is like the main point that guy
Do they
made.
dismiss the idea that we're visited at all by something from somewhere else?
I mean, what do you mean who? Like
these people that think that it's all Nazi stuff and Soviet Union stuff?
I don't think that they're saying it's all that, but they're probably saying, I haven't read all his books, but I think he's saying when he wrote that book, it was probably all Nazis, no aliens. But now I'm sure his views have evolved on it.
That's part of the problem too. It's like, you know, when you see these reports, whenever I see like a story that's in the New York Times where the Pentagon is admitting we have, you know, there's been off-world crafts and all these different things, and you get these David Grush guys that are testifying about that we've recovered crashed vehicles. It's like, how much of that is a psyop?
I think most of it.
I think a lot of it. Yeah, I don't even know if they know it's a psyop. But if I was the government and I was working on top secret propulsion systems, the first thing I would do is spread a bunch of fake rumors about UFOs.
Yes.
This is how we can't explain it. We don't know. We're being visited. They're super intelligent. We don't know where they're from. We don't know how they're doing this.
Yep.
And then you have an explanation for why these people are seeing these things in the sky when it's really just your shit that you're flying around. But yet, if you listen to Jacques Vallée and you read any of his books, he's got these stories that people were telling from the 1700s and the 1800s that mirror almost exactly the experiences that people are having today. That's where it gets weird because, okay, now you're predating any possibility of this being modern technology, you know, that is just hidden and tucked away. They couldn't have done that in the 1700s. There were no way. They didn't even have airplanes yet, right? Okay.
Right. So
if we admit that, then we have to go, okay, well, what's going on then? Is there something else here that's been here forever, like some people think? Or are we looking at something that's visiting us and keeping an eye on us from somewhere else? That's where it's fun. That's the fun one. The fun one is not that it's ours. The fun one is that we're being visited.
Yeah, like, and are we being visited, or do they just live under the oceans?
Right.
You know, like, have they been here fucking forever? And like, you know, there's this case. Richard Dolan came on my show recently, and he was telling me he wrote this new book about all the underwater cases ever documented, the underwater USOs. And there's one from like the early 1700s where there was this like ship sailing across the Pacific, and this giant glowing orb came out of the ocean, and these sailors all wrote about it. How this massive like football stadium size glowing orb came up out of the ocean and like flew away. And you know, like how much of the ocean have we explored? Like
very small percentage.
Very small amount. We've explored more of the moon, I think.
And it would be the perfect base. If you wanted to come here and observe human beings without them being able to see what's going on, that's the best place to hide. because no one's going there. They don't have the capability of going there. You know, we have submarines, but I mean, what are if the submarines see things, did they tell us?
Yeah.
Like, if the submarine saw a UFO underwater, would they have a press conference?
Right, exactly.
No.
We know about the nuclear bases above ground because those guys have come out and talked about it, but like all of the nuclear submarines that are patrolling the oceans at all times, like right off of our coast, off both coasts, like if they're carrying multiple nuclear warheads, I'm sure they're seeing something or they're detecting something there.
Well, there's this one video of something that was moving 500 knots under the water. Like this thing that like flew by their camera. Like, they don't...
On the sub?
Yeah, I forget where it was being recorded, but it was a video of something that was like a beam of light that shot through the screen. Like you could see it moving underwater at this insane rate of speed with no ripples, no disruption of the water, just moving through the water.
Yeah.
And then there's these transmedium videos, these videos of these things flying. They go into the water with no splash, no nothing, and they don't lose any momentum.
Yeah. I think the best evidence that those things have been here forever is probably like ancient stories, biblical story, like aliens and or like angels and demon stuff. Like
what about Ezekiel?
Like before the Ezekiel too, right?
Ezekiel in the Bible, that story is nuts. The wheel within a wheel, the way he's describing, like what are you seeing?
Right.
And imagine you've no context.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing something that's floating, some geometric pattern that's hovering in the sky above your head and emitting light, and trying to explain this, and then also going back and trying to remember exactly what you saw, because you're probably freaking the fuck out. You really do have some sort of an encounter with some orb that's flying in the sky. How do you even describe it? What context do you put it in? Do you describe it as an alien? Do you describe it as an angel? Do you think it's God? Like, what do you think it is?
Right. Or is it drugs? Are drugs
I'm
playing a role in this?
Drugs play a part of it.
Well, then there's like James Fox's Alien from the Virginia film.
Oh, yeah.
Where it smelled like sulfur.
Right.
And there's biblical accounts of demons smelling like sulfur and having cloven feet. So did that exactly describes that being in James's documentary.
Right.
The hospital smelled like sulfur for like a week after, they said.
And the guy who was handling it died of a horrible infection. Yeah. This is all documented. The guy who picked up the alien, put it in his squad car, took it to a hospital. That hospital wouldn't deal with it. Took it to another hospital. And then that guy dies of a horrible bacterial infection that they can't cure with antibiotics.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, dude.
Fucking nuts. And then all the people, the eyewitnesses that were there that saw the thing, and when he brings the police officer to the site of the crash, the officer starts weeping uncontrollably. Yeah. Recounting the story, unless that guy's the greatest actor of all time.
Right.
Like, what is going on there?
There's the story where he walked up to the guy's house and the guy like pulled a gun on him. And he's like, "You guys come any closer, I'm shooting you."
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird shit,
It's weird, dude. And it's weird that like everyone's trying to paint their own narrative. There's different groups competing on like how they want to paint the UFO thing, right? You have like different camps of people like in the government or in media. I don't know what the difference is.
And there's guys like you and I that are basically useful idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
They come on our podcast, talk a lot of shit, and we go, I don't know. Yeah. Figure it out, folks.
Yeah, we're feds. We're feds. We got the Palantir honey trap over here.
Like, what is that thing? That thing's all filled with Pegasus.
It's Palantir, bro.
They're reading every single one of your little jot downs that you put on that. Yeah. Who knows? But if you did have some sort of like infinitely superior technology and you've had it for a long time, when do you, if ever, let the public know? And how do you let the public know?
What do you do with that too?
Right.
Like, if you're the guy, right? Like how many? I don't know how many people know all of the secrets. Right, okay, but if there is a handful of dudes, how do you go about living your life when you're that dude and when you know like shit that can change the face of humanity forever? How do you go home to your wife and kids, right? Is it like, are you living in that show, what's the show where they go up in the elevator and it wipes their mind?
Oh, Severance.
Severance, yeah. Is it like that? Do they have real life severance?
I don't think so. No, I think they just rely on these people being secret. And, you know, there's the thing about Bob Lazar's story. You know, Bob Lazar lost his job because his wife was cheating on him. Because his wife thought that, you know, he couldn't tell her what he was doing. So when he was flying off to S4, he would say, I got to go to work. And she's like, at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday, get the fuck out of here. So she starts fucking this other guy. And they were listening to his phone calls. So they had his phone tapped. Yeah. And because his wife was having an affair, he was deemed to be at a risk of being emotionally unstable. So they released him. And so then he's like, this is bullshit. And he starts telling people, hey, man, we're working on UFOs. They have a crashed UFO. I saw it. They fly it every Wednesday or whatever it was. Come, I'll show you.
Yeah.
And so he brings people out to the test site where they can observe from one of the mountains, and then he gets arrested. And then he goes public so that he doesn't get killed. This is his justification of it all.
Yeah, I used to think Bob Lazar was full of shit, but I've come around on it. I don't think that anymore. After learning more about all the disinformation and all the time and money they put into just confusing people, like the Paul Benowitz story, you know, I think he would be the perfect candidate to recruit just because of his background. Like, you know, his first wife committed suicide. He ran a brothel.
He was a nut.
He was a nutcase, dude.
And he's
a perfect person. He's perfect. They could deny him so easily. Like, look at this dude's background. You think we would hire this dude?
And also a legitimate genius.
Right.
I mean, the guy put a rocket engine on a Honda in like 1985.
Yeah.
He was a nut. He converted his Corvette to a hydrogen engine.
Yeah.
In like, you know, I think it was the 90s he did that. He had a hydrogen-powered Corvette that he engineered himself. See if you can find Bob Lazar's hydrogen-powered Corvette. He was a nut.
Yeah.
You know, but he doesn't seem like a liar. And the podcast, obviously it resonates with people because I think the podcast I had with him on YouTube is the most viewed podcast that we've ever had, including Donald Trump.
Really?
Is that true, Jamie? No? Who's number one now?
Donnie beat him?
Who's number one? Elon. First Elon's number one.
Okay.
That was the one when he smoked weed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing.
Oh, yeah.
The
Big
smoking
moment.
weed really took it over the top.
That was a good moment. Do you smoke on all podcasts?
No.
Just certain ones. Just certain specific
Yeah,
ones.
so this is Bob Lazar's hydrogen-powered Corvette.
That's amazing.
What a fucking kook.
It's beautiful. I love
What a
it.
kook. I mean, who fucking did that? This guy created a hydrogen-powered Corvette, and that's an old-ass Corvette, too. That's a shitty one in the 90s.
If you're throwing shit at the wall, trying to figure out a new way to move fucking planes, that you might as well find people like this. To
Homemade hydrogen-powered Corvette. Look at this. Play it. Go full screen.
Oh, this is way throwback.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Is this Reddit?
When the tank's heated, it produces hydrogen, and the car burns it. So there's never much gaseous hydrogen in the system at any given time.
So these are the fuel lines? No, what are these?
These are the
So you can't see what they're looking at for people.
Here it goes.
There it goes, actually.
heater in the tank, and also reads back the temperature of the tank.
Why is that important?
Well, when you apply heat to hydride, it releases hydrogen. So as power is applied to here, it heats the hydride,
Right.
and then the gas comes out the big hoses on the end.
Now you have 4 hoses. Do they all mix into one big hose or
Yeah.
something?
Didn't he like
you
hang
can
out
only
with
get
Ed Teller or talk to Ed Teller at one
Hydrogen
point?
out of
I don't
hydride
know.
at a certain rate with a certain temperature. And a single tank, you can't get it out at the volume you need. So
This guy was a legitimate genius and a propulsion expert.
Yep.
And that's why they brought him
Yep.
in to
Right.
say, how does this work?
Yeah.
And that story, he's told the same story for, whatever it is now, 50 plus years or 40 years.
Yeah.
What is it? What year was it? 80,
And there's a good reason, I think.
85, so 40 years? Somewhere around 85?
The biggest argument against him is the MIT stuff, right? Like, you can't
Yeah.
prove that, but there's something that I'm sure.
Well, the MIT thing, though, look, if you're working at Los Alamos Labs and you're working on top secret stuff for the government, it's not inconceivable that you would be educated at MIT and there wouldn't be a record of it. Especially
Sure.
if you're working,
on some
something
black
that's
project.
like really devious shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what he told me off the air.
You will?
Yeah.
God, I can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
All right,
As soon as
let's
we're
end
done,
this. I'm
we'll
just
wrap
kidding.
this
I'm
up.
kidding. But no, I wanted to like the stuff in the stuff like the thing that is so astonishing to me is like all of the brightest minds and unlimited money have gone to more and more ways to figure out how to kill people. Like during Operation Paperclip, during the time Bob Lazar was at Los Alamos and at S4, if he was at S4 or whatever that was going on there, like and that dude John von Neumann, who was the mathematician, who was he came up with the equation who by the way was like the most brilliant mathematical mind of in American history, came up with the equation of the perfect altitude to detonate Fat Man and Little Boy to kill the most people. Which is like you're using this fucking intellect to do these kinds of things. And now there's a $21 trillion black hole in the DOD. Like, imagine what they could have. They could have something that's probably, I mean, going way out on a limb, conjecture, obviously, I don't fucking know, but like my conspiracy mind wants to go to like, oh my God, they have like another whole military, Air Force, Navy that is disconnected from America, that is probably more powerful than every other country combined, that could just, you know, take over the world in an instant.
But can't they already wipe each other out? I mean, the whole world has nuclear weapons. There's nuclear weapons in how many different countries?
Yeah.
If they all launched them simultaneously, there's no life left on Earth.
What I'm saying with the 21 trillion, they could have some fucking weapon that would render a nuke completely irrelevant. You know, if they do have anti-gravity, and if they have figured out some of this crazy parapsychology stuff, the psionic stuff with the UFOs and like the mind interfacing, you know, all this just kooky stuff that you want to dismiss. But 21 trillion, if they were spending $50 on Stargate, and they thought it was worth some sort of intelligence to spy on the Russians, like how much money would they keep throwing at something if there was just a shred of possibility that it could work? And if there was evidence that like this works 3% of the time, and we spent $1 million on it, let's spend $1 trillion on it and see how much more advanced we can get, and see how much more control and world domination we can get. And
well, one of the things Lazar said about the craft, that he was the sport model, which is that thing on the desk. That's the copy of it. One of the things that he said about it was that there was no controls. When you sit inside the thing, there's no joystick, there's no steering wheel.
So you use your mind?
Yeah. There was probably that's probably what we're getting to anyway. We're kind of close to that with phones now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many times do you text where you don't even text, you just press the button and say, you know, text Danny, say this, and it just says it for you. Yeah. Or, you know, how old is Barbara Streisand? And it gives you an instant information. You're talking to it all the time.
Yeah.
There's like, and what's the next step? Well, the next step is you think it. Like, you wear it and you think, and it does things for you. And then as technology scales further and further more advanced, you're going to get to a point where you can move your car with your mind. And then when you have spacecraft, of course, it would be the same sort of technology. You would use technology to move the craft with your mind. You know, they already have these interfaces with fighter pilots where you look is where the crosshair shows up. So instead of having to like move a crosshair with like a you know, like if you're playing a video game and you're moving the mouse, you're moving the crosshair to the side, or if you're using an Xbox controller, you're moving that crosshair to where you want to hit.
Right.
The crosshair goes where their eyes go. So you're wearing this thing that knows where you're looking. And they already have this kind of technology with virtual reality. They have this technology with these meta glasses that they're developing. So they can, while you have this helmet on, this helmet is not simply a thing that protects your head. It's an electronic interface with the guidance system. And where your eyes look, the crosshairs go. Yo.
Did you see the LLM stuff trying to get soldiers to leave the battlefield in the Russia-Ukraine war?
No.
They're using LLMs and the Russians are like hacking the Ukrainians' phones with LLMs, reading everything on their phone, seeing how they communicate with their family, and using LLMs to send messages to their phones of like their family, trying to get them to lay down their weapons and leave the war.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, like where does that end up?
Well, that's what gets real weird, because if AI starts controlling all the war systems, and it just has a goal, and it doesn't have any ethics or morals or any concern about life or death. It just has a directive. Like, I want you to accomplish this. Take control of the resources in Donbass. Do this, do that. Whatever it is. It just does it the most effective way possible, which could be unbelievably brutal.
Yeah, and then like even shit like telepathy, or like being able to communicate without words.
Well, Elon says that's 100% the goal of Neuralink.
Are you optimistic about that?
I'm not optimistic or pessimistic. I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at what we have now as normal, because it's become normal to carry around a phone with you everywhere. It's become normal to have an Apple Watch on and get all your text messages on your wrist. It's become normal. And I think it'll become normal to be interfaced with the great hive mind. I think we're all going to be connected with some new technology, the same way we're all connected with social media and email and FaceTime videos and all that shit that we are
Right.
now, and WhatsApp messages. We're all going to be connected with something that's far more technologically advanced, and
Yeah.
it'll become normal, just like this is normal.
I just hope, like, if it does get there, when it does get there, that we can overcome this sort of place that we've reached with social media, where people are just like spatting out whatever comes to the front of their mind at any given moment, or like just like rage impulse and fighting where there's no filter, which I think has just created more and more division and miscommunication.
Oh, yeah.
Like if me and you are just talking and we're communicating our minds back and forth,
Right.
I don't know how your mind works, but my mind is like a constant hornet's nest of fucking ideas just bouncing around everywhere.
Yep.
Right. So if you could read my mind, you're going to be so goddamn confused, and there's probably going to be shit in there I don't want you to know. And it's like like to the writing process, right? Like when you write, you know about writing more than anyone. When you write something and you try to like distill an idea down to like the most precise form to communicate it accurately to the audience, right?
Right.
Like you go through so many revisions and you revise and you refine until you get it perfect, so you can communicate that message to your audience. But if it's just a direct stream of consciousness, unedited, I can't imagine that would be a good thing. You know, unless you're like some meditative yogi that like has a really editorialized stream of consciousness, which I don't.
Well, maybe instead of just having access to all your thoughts, maybe it's just simply what you're trying to communicate about your thoughts. Maybe it won't be as simple as we all have access to each other's minds. Maybe it'll just be much more, you'll be able to purely transmit your feelings and your ideas without the context of a language. Or maybe we'll have to develop some sort of universal language.
Yeah.
Which would be, you know, the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I've made that connection. I made that connection last night, I think, about Christ. Like, Christ was of a virgin birth. Like, what's more of a virgin birth than sentient super intelligence from AI?
Yeah.
If that becomes a being that is essentially a god and is given birth by a virgin mother, I mean, that's the story of Christ. It's just confusing. It's just confusing if you translate it over and over and over time. But if Christ is supposed to return, that would be a way something like a God would return. It would return through artificial intelligence. If it just emerged out of our creation and our insatiable desire to make new and better things.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, why else do we have this insane desire to have new and improved things?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, isn't your phone good enough? Like, I have a Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and I have an iPhone 16. They're good. They're good enough. You don't need to make a better one.
Have you seen Westworld on HBO?
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Season
fucking shows.
1 is fucking amazing.
It's the best.
Got a little squirrely in season 2.
It's season 2 and 3. Yeah, got a little squirrely for sure. But like one of my favorite lines in that is when Ford is talking to Bernard, or not Bernard, one of the ladies, one of the robots, and he's like explaining the human psyche, and he's like, all of the greatest achievements of humanity, the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of David, the Mona Lisa, all just an elaborate mating call. It's all peacock feathers. Ooh. It's all just this desire to procreate and to, you know, it's that really got me fucking thinking. And it's like, is that what drives human beings to do things and to create new things and new art? I always thought it was sex, but I think it might be that combined with the fear of death, because we want to live forever, and we want to have a symbolic immortality. We want to leave something behind after we die.
It might not just be sex. It might just be social recognition, status.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be adored as a genius.
Yeah. And there's also that painting on the Sistine Chapel, the creation of Adam, which is also in that movie, where it shows God creating Adam and all the angels. And he's sitting inside of the perfect anatomical illustration of a human brain, if you look at it.
Can you find that, Jamie?
Yeah, pull up the creation of Adam, and it's got like the prefrontal cortex, the brain stem, the visual cortex. It's all there, and he's creating Adam. And like the point he makes in the movie is like, the divine gift does not come from a higher power, but from the human mind.
That's bananas. Let me see that other image that you just had of the two of them below it. No, I'm sorry. Go back to that one and then go below it, the one that you just had.
With the brain?
With the
Oh,
one
yeah,
where
on
it
the
showed
bottom
the
right?
brain. Yeah, the bottom right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's weird, man.
It is weird, isn't it?
It's pretty close.
Yeah,
and
pretty
it's
close.
also that is, the Eye of Horus. When you look at the side section, a cross section of the pineal gland, it looks exactly like that. This weird
Wait,
symbology.
what looks just like that?
The Eye of Horus
Oh, the Eye
from
of Horus,
ancient
okay.
Egyptian. Go to so that gland, when you see it at the bottom, go to the Eye of Horus. Go pineal gland, Eye of Horus. Take out the Sistine Chapel. Yeah, there it is. So that's what the Eye of Horus looks like. It looks exactly like the
Oh, that's
pineal
wild,
gland.
dude.
I mean, it's the same shape. And there's a lot of weirdness, man. to
Yeah,
the
dude.
Ancient art. Like, what were they trying to say? Like, what were they trying to document?
It's funny, the people who like don't believe Jesus existed, they'll make the argument like, imagine 2,000 years from now that people wanted to say that there was this mythical divine person and he existed because we know there's this divine trilogy called the Lord of the Rings and his name was Gandalf and he came from the center of the earth. But it's like nothing else corroborates it. But, I don't know. I think Jesus was a real person.
It seems like it was a real person.
Yeah.
The question is, like, what really happened?
Right.
And the whole coming back from the dead thing is like, what was that all about?
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's real.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, but
Right.
neither does the birth of the universe from
Right.
something smaller than the head of a pin. That doesn't make
Right.
any sense either.
Yeah.
But if if this one unique moment in time that God did send us his son to try to like sort things out and we wound up killing him, and he died for our sins, like, would that be any weirder than supermassive black holes? Would that be any
Right.
weirder than most of the stuff that we know is real?
And how do you reconcile that with the simulation?
I don't know. I mean, that might be part of the whole weirdness of this whole thing is that we have mythology. Part of the weirdness of the simulation might be that we have this fantastical mythology that you sort of have to suspend disbelief and accept. It's part of this whole weirdness that we have where we're susceptible to ideological belief systems like cults, like political ideologies. We're essentially just like cults. When you're on the right and you're, right with everything and, you're all MAGA, or if you're on the left, you're blue no matter who, you're in a cult. You're in a cult. People get into cults. And why is that? Like, why is that a part of, if we are in a simulation, why are we so malleable? Is it because we recognize it and we're supposed to oppose it and we're supposed to fight the instinct that we all deeply have embedded in our system, but we also know is wrong? Like, what is it about these systems? Like, why is that in place? Is this simply just an ancient relic of our tribal past where you had to follow the rules of the tribe in order to survive? And so it was instilled in people in the psyche and that's how we developed? Or is there something more to it? Is it like part of the mechanism that allows us to resist, which allows us to innovate, which encourages us to push forward and ask more questions because we know there's a lot of bullshit. Like, the reason why people ask so many questions now in 2025 as opposed to 2019 is because of COVID. Because we went through so much bullshit and propaganda. We were so gaslit by the government, by the CDC, by everybody. That now we question way more. So it's probably benefited us somewhat to go through that.
Yeah. When Mary was on here, did she tell you about Kevin McKiernan?
Refresh my memory.
He was the dude who worked for the Human Genome Project. It's like a DNA wizard. He was working for the Human Genome Project, trying to figure out different sort of medical treatments for cancers based on your genome. So like they could target a specific type of leukemia in you, and they would take your DNA and they would like basically make designer drugs to target that cancer and to kill that cancer. And during the pandemic, somebody sent him 4 unopened vials of the Pfizer vaccine, and he analyzed them and he ran them through all of his processing systems, whatever the fuck he does. And he found out there was DNA plasmid contamination in them, which were like promoters of this SV40 shit.
I did hear about that.
Yeah.
I talked to Brett Weinstein about that, and he was explaining that when they first were sequencing certain vaccines, because with the vaccine you have to use living cells in order to create these antibodies initially.
Yeah.
And when
traditional vaccines, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they started using these things, they were using kidney cells of these monkeys. And they didn't understand that these monkeys had this SV40, simian virus 40.
Right.
And that this, when introduced into human cells, causes tumors.
Yep.
Causes cancer.
Yep.
Like rampant cancer.
Right.
You see the uptick of cancer, and everyone wants to like bury their head in the sand and pretend that it didn't happen. But people that took the vaccine are getting fucking cancer at an astounding rate.
Yeah. And Kevin was telling me that he was doing study. He pulled some tumors from some people that died somewhere in Europe, and he was sequencing the tumors of these people that died with the vaccine. And he said that the SV40 was in the tumors. And I don't remember the science. I'd have to go back and listen to it. By the way, that episode got pulled off YouTube.
Really?
Off my channel. I got a strike for it.
What did they say?
Medical misinformation.
What part of it's medical misinformation?
The whole thing. We talked about vaccines, and we talked about the
What year
COVID
was
vaccine.
this?
This was like November of last year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could put it up now, because they seem
I
to
would
have
be scared,
lightened up.
dude.
Didn't they? They changed their regulations recently.
Did they?
Yeah, they changed their guidelines.
That's the problem with this shit, dude. I'm so afraid
I
to
know.
talk about shit I want to talk about.
I know, isn't that fucked up?
It's like, yeah, it sucks, dude.
It sucks because there's no way to know who's telling the truth unless you let people say crazy shit and then have someone come on and refute it and then have the two of them get together and debate it.
Right.
And then even then sometimes you don't know. Like with this Flint Dibble, Graham Hancock thing.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Dan Richards, we wouldn't know that a lot of the things that Flint Dibble said were just absolutely not true.
Right.
YouTube loosens rules guiding moderation of videos. Yeah. So favor freedom of expression over the risk of harm in deciding what to take down. So specifically scroll down to what they said, what the actual policy shift, which hasn't publicly disclosed. What does it say? Public statements. They used language that I thought was
They don't make public statements.
much more
they
reasonable.
broad brush it. They don't give you an exact reason. They just say, oh, this falls into this category. Like there's no jury at YouTube. They're just like, they find the most excusable reason to.
Go back to where you were. Recognizing the definition of public interest is always evolving. We update our guidelines for these exceptions to reflect the new types of discussions we see on our platform today. Our goal remains the same: to protect free expression on YouTube while mitigating egregious harm. So, they could still, but the thing is, like, they're controlled by their advertisers to a certain extent. And
I don't buy that shit, dude.
what do you mean? They get funds from the
They're
advertisers.
Google though. They fucking
Right.
own advertising. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna
but-
tell me like some company is gonna go to Google and say, listen, bro, we're not
Yes.
gonna advertise with you unless you take that guy's video down.
No, I think pharmaceutical drug companies have influence. And I think if you're getting an enormous percentage of your advertising revenue from pharmaceutical drug companies, which Callie Means has said the reason why they do that is not to promote their drugs. It's to stop criticism. And this is why they promote. This is why brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper, brought to you by Pfizer. What that is for is to make sure that they never criticize Pfizer.
Sure. I understand that.
And
yeah.
it works, right?
For cable TV, yeah, but for like YouTube has a monopoly on advertising. Google does, at least. I guess I could see it, but like, they got fucking trillions of dollars.
So it says YouTube's adpocalypse and the gatekeeping of cultural content on digital platforms. This is how it all started. 2017, advertiser revolt on YouTube, popularly known as the adpocalypse, introduced widespread and radical changes on the platform's policy related to moderation and content. Their monetizability and the terms of the relationship between the creators and the platform. And these changes, in turn, have caused significant discontent within the creator community while also gradually transforming the predominant nature of the content on the platform. So they did do it. They did it by cutting the ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dirty business, man. And they're doing it because they don't want people finding out certain things that are actually true. And that's what they did during the pandemic, and that's what the FBI tried to do when they were banning people like Jay Bhattacharya and prominent scientists and like legitimate academics.
But then I'll have like the same thing will happen to videos I do about UFOs. Like the
Really?
same thing will happen. Not taken down, but you know how shit will get like buried where you can't search for it?
Oh yeah.
Me and Jesse were talking about this. This happened to
Yeah.
Jesse too with Grush, where he was like, it was like the #1 video on Grush, and all of a sudden you can't search it. Like stuff like that. I mean, the COVID one was the first one I actually had taken down, which was scary, and it makes me think about that. I hate the fact that I actually have to think about whether I'm gonna get the axe.
I know.
Based on the topic I'm discussing. Like I don't know if that doesn't lead to a good place as far as journalism goes, because journalism is supposed to be shining light on the dark places that people don't want them shine, and it's supposed to piss people off.
Especially when you consider that a lot of the things that you used to be taken down for are now confirmed. Like
Yeah.
the lab leak theory.
Yep.
That used to get you kicked off of YouTube. Saying masks don't work, that would get you kicked off of YouTube. Like all these things that we now know to be true, that the vaccine does not stop infection. That would get you kicked off YouTube.
Right.
All these things that we now know are 100% fact, and it's all orchestrated by financial interests.
Yeah, the SV40 stuff is
fucking
wicked
terrifying.
freaky, dude. It's wicked freaky. Like with the cancer and how it goes all the way back to the early days in the 60s, or the early 50s and 60s in New Orleans, how they were working trying to develop the polio vaccine with Alton Ochsner at Tulane University, and trying to weaponize some sort of there's a theory based on that book Mary's Monkey, where they were growing the polio vaccines on the monkey kidneys and using this to also create bioweapons to assassinate people like Castro. And that's apparently what, according to that book, what Lee Harvey Oswald was doing with that lady Mary Sherman, and they were using that Linac machine to try to like supercharge the SV40 to make it more deadly.
Oh my God.
To induce cancer with people.
Jesus
It's like,
Christ.
yeah, and then, oh God, that like the event, that Cutter event where Alton injected his 2 grandkids with the polio vaccine in front of the whole auditorium of students, and his granddaughter was paralyzed, but his grandson died the next day, right after they did that.
Jesus
and they were like,
Christ.
there's people pushing back, like, don't do this. We tested this on monkeys, and like half of them are dead. Let's not push this out. I think it was the Salk vaccine, the Salk polio vaccine. And then they fucking did it anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think you got to be able to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you get it wrong, and even if someone comes on, they say things that can be refuted. Yeah, refute it then. That's the whole point of all this.
Yeah.
If someone comes on and says something that's not correct, oh, but it's tasty.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you. If someone comes on and says something that's not correct, like have someone on that refutes it. Figure it out. You have to be able to talk about stuff, and some of it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's all super fun.
It is, right?
Yeah.
How'd you get started?